Time for the news review segment. I have in studio engineer Michael Kosidede. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good to have you. And we have Dennis Miracles Abuaje, communications director or spokesperson for the 2024 Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia campaign team. Good morning, Dennis.
Morning, Anna.
Good to have you.
Good to see you too.
All right. Busy evening last night. Chairman Wontumi was picked up by Yoko after attending upon an invitation to the CID. He was at Yoko for over 6 hours. We understand some interrogation was ongoing, but later reports were that he had fallen ill and had been hospitalized. Andy Apiakubi was his legal representative. He spoke to us and confirmed that indeed Chairman Wontumi had fallen ill and had been hospitalized. However, he failed to tell us which hospital he was being sent to. Engineer, your take on this. Somewhere last week, I think on Friday, we saw armed men in his home in Kumasi on whatever charges we are not aware. Later, we were told that he had been invited by the CID, which invitation he attended upon on Monday and was to report again yesterday, Tuesday. But after the CID, he was picked up by Yoko. I mean, how we go about some of these arrests and all, even if we do have legitimate concerns or reasons to pick up people?
I think the use of state force against citizens needs to be looked at very carefully, because all of us as citizens need to be very careful, and we need to look at it very dispassionately. They are all state agencies. If you needed him after he had attended to one, simply just tell him, oh, we need you, or this other agency says they want to talk to you. But this attitude where we go with guns and all manner of things, I don't think it helps, because you could just have transferred him from one state agency to the other without all the drama. And I think that our security agencies themselves need to look at themselves and say, are we being professional? They need to ask those questions. And our governments need to behave, because we are running this country as though you do me, I do you.
Okay.
When I come in, I'll show you where power lies. Retaliatory politics. And I don't think it's helpful for the country. And all of us, again, must look at Wontumi and say, yes, he may have done certain things. He may be accused of certain things. But is that how we treat a citizen? Look, the kind of videos I've seen about the things he said, terrible. Where he says that even if security agencies have to come into Ashanti region, they have to reach out to him and seek permission, clearance before even they come. Things like that clearly are not proper. But we had a government that looked at it and kept quiet. Where the government has said, no, you don't talk like that. Even if there were such things, you don't talk like that. And you don't threaten other incoming presidents or potential presidents with the kind of talk that he had. But for me, at the end of the day, when you have power, your character is displayed by how you handle that power. So for me, the way the NDC, for that matter, is handling this issue doesn't sit well. I mean, whenever you have power, you need to look at it and say, yes, I've been given the power. How do I use that power in the interest of the larger citizenry? But you just don't exercise that power arbitrarily and say, yes, I'm now in power, I'm going to show you. Because the state has so much power that no citizen, no citizen, not even a former president, can challenge a state institution. So it's important that our governments, and especially our political parties, understand some of these dynamics and seek to run this country in the best interest of all of us. Why he's being invited in terms of whether Galamsey or whatever, these are issues too that we need to be very clear about. I mean, it is no secret out there that once government changed hands, those who were participating in the Galamsey simply went to the other side and said, Master, your government is in power, take over. There's no secret to that. So we all need to sit down and say, is this really an attempt at fighting Galamsey, or it is simply a show of force? Because go around, you go to Simpa, on the Takrady Takwa Road, Simpa, in Swaim, Dumpim, all those places, right by the roadside. People are mining every day. You see the people wake up every morning and they are out there digging. So when we say we are fighting Galamsey, are we really being sincere about it? Or is just, again, a show of force? Okay, a lot of people are making noise about how we promised that we'll fight Galamsey, so let's arrest Wontumi and let's deal with him. But for me, that is not the way to go. If you look at this country, we have the Minerals Commission, which is supposed to regulate the mining industry. The question we should be asking is that, what is that institution doing? They may say, oh, by legal, yes, but in terms of even the registered and licensed operations, because Wontumi was a licensed operator, he had a licensed operation, and yet we found him in the forest. What happened? What was that regulatory body doing? They collect all these monies and sit in the offices and watch. So I think that, again, it is not about governments coming in and say, let's set up a committee to... No, there are already existing state institutions that should be regulating and controlling the industry. So we are paying people, they are receiving salaries, sitting in their offices, and we are not holding them accountable to the job that they have to do. So we come and then say we have to set up a commission or a committee to fight Galamsey. So for me, those things are cosmetic. We need to look beyond that. We have the Forestry Commission. So assuming that the mining regulator says, look, I'm controlling the mining industry. Those who are licensed with me, I'm controlling them. And then we also know that there's a ban on mining within the forestry area. So what is the Forestry Commission doing? These are the bodies responsible. So we should be able to go into that forest and say, look, we are checking and monitoring that no one comes into the forest.
Have we resourced them enough to be able to do that?
Man,
because we've seen them complain that they get somewhere and the people are armed.
I think that we make excuses about resources. We use that as a broad excuse. Why? Well, in this country where Forestry Commission was distributing Achimota forest, where did they get the resources to distribute the Achimota forest? You see, when people act in their own interests, they are happy to do that and they have the resources to do it. But when it comes to doing the job for which they have been employed, then they sit back and say, we don't have resources. The issue is, has the Forestry Commission sat down and said, look, Galamsey is becoming a problem. How do we deal with it? And map out a strategy and even go out to government and say, look, this is what we need to look. I'm saying that no matter how big the forest reserves are, we can use technology to monitor the forest reserves. You can go in there and plant sensors and cameras. And somebody simply sits in the control room. People enter the forest, immediately you know. So if you even haven't got guns to face, you call for support from the police or the military. So it is not for forestry officers to simply say we don't have guns. The guns given to forestry officers are mostly to protect them against animals, wild animals. It's not supposed to go and fight criminals or people invading the forest. So if they need the support, then they then call and say, look, police should come in. We have seen people in the forest reserve and issues like that. We are not seeing that. Our water bodies are being polluted. We have a body responsible for water bodies in this country, which is what? Water Resources Commission. What are they doing? Again, these are things that they should be coming, they should be initiating the things and say, look, this water body had this stability, this were the quality, now it is this. There's something not right. And call for resources. So we need to sit down as a country really and do the homework properly.
Dennis, why do you people always mass up at this? The state institution has invited a member of your party for interrogation, or while he's been picked up with you. Why all these party supporters at the office of Yoko last night?
Let me say a very warm good morning to yourself, an engineer.
Good morning.
You know, Dr. Baumia wrapped up the Greater Accra tour yesterday. So we've done about 15 regions with the thank you tour. It's left for Central region. And so I want to use your platform to say thank you to the people of the Greater Accra region for the reception in the past 2-3 days. You know, once again, the NDC food soldiers won the day. For me, they are the biggest beneficiaries of all this drama.
How?
The reasons are that engineer made some very good points. So the CID writes to you, inviting you to come for an investigation in a particular matter. Then you write back and indicate your unavailability within the period, which is all within the law. And then you are just there, and then armed men show up in your house, banging your gates, you know, with arms and flying drones, looking into your compound. Then they spend hours there, they don't find you, then they go back. And then you understand they are from the police, then you communicate that, okay, I'll come on Monday. You show up on Monday, you show up on Tuesday. Then Tuesday, after you are done with them, right there, within the police premise, or just when you are with the police, you have people crossing your vehicle with arms and moving you into another vehicle and taking you to another state agency. I mean, if it's not for drama, really, it's needless. That's my view. If it's not for drama, it's needless. All you needed to do was to simply communicate to the person and his lawyers whilst they are at the police headquarters. When you finish, let's cross and come to Eyoko. and they will come. You didn't have to show up with arms and pack. Like engineer said, it's just somebody sitting somewhere and saying, let's show Wontumi where power lies. Maybe because of some utterances and a certain posture that they feel. So it's a cycle. Because if you feel that Wontumi made certain comments and give certain body language and posture that irks you, for which reason you want to show him power lies, you are doing the same thing. So do you know what will happen is that Wontumi and his lovers or followers are also taking note. Nana. So in about 2-3 years from now, you'd realize that in about 2-3 years from now, the Wontumi lovers would also be preparing for a retaliation when you also lose power. And so in 2028, when you also lose power and you are no longer, in office, what you'd realize is that Wontumi and co and his people would simply come after you as well.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So we just be moving in circles and getting nowhere.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you that the manner in which you treat some of these political people is the same way or even more how you'll be treated in the future. And the democracy that we have, I think you heard Trump saying that he's stripping Joe Biden of certain privileges when it comes to national security briefing. Yeah. And he simply said that, well, they stripped me off when they had power. So he's retaliated. Yeah. So we need to, at some point in the midst of the chaos and the noise, some reason should prevail. And somebody should say, well, whilst I'm doing all of this, let me also position myself 4 years from now, or 8 years from now, or even like they say it, 100 years from now. And how I would also want to be treated. I don't think what happened last night was needed. Wontumi can be invited by almost all the security agencies in this country if he's committed a crime. But in this country where we are led by laws, until you are convicted of a crime by a court of competent jurisdiction, you need to be treated with some dignity.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I am not yet a criminal up until the time I am declared sane by a court. You have to be careful the way you handle me. Because should I come out clean, you would have hurt me so much that sometimes some of them are irreversible. For me, that's where my concern is. And you, the perpetrator, you should be mindful and also be quick to remind yourself that it could turn like it's turned. And I can tell you that most of these things that are happening are simply because some people feel that 8 years ago, they did a similar thing to me or somebody that I know, and I also want to retaliate. Like you're not thinking about it well, because what you are failing to realize is that somebody is also marking and taking notes.
The cycle continues.
Yes.
The drama doesn't
because nobody will forget about what happened last night from the MPP side. And you see, there's something that we humans, our brains, God, the way God created us. Remember when 2016, another won by 1 million votes? Some people said NDC egu. In fact, for almost 2 years, you heard people say, NDC egu. Oh, it was a trend on social media. Oh, another will launch something, NDC egu. Oh, NDC will be in opposition for 30 years, 40 years. Here we are. 8 years down the line. The same president that was, nobody wanted to say his face and all of that, competent, he's in power.
Yeah.
So we need to be careful how we use some of these things. And it's not difficult for anybody to say, well, this is politics at play. Not just because Wontumi is a political actor, but the issues. I mean, you are inviting Wontumi in this manner, okay, for Galamsey issues, in this manner. When, as we speak, hot active, one that is captured on video, one that you don't even need to investigate, okay, are pending. You had your party chairman at Upper Dentra East or so, accosting, I think you showed it on your TV, accosting military men on a bridge in the middle of the road and almost strangling them, as in, what are you doing here? Get out of here. Then the media people fly drones and see this chairman and his party, NDC party people, destroying the forest and destroying the river. He's still walking. The Awin Traditional Council, they have written a petition to the president that the Awin NDC MP is the one leading Galamsey in the area. He's in parliament, he's still walking. Recently, the national security has been accused of taking over a mining site and running the machines and mining. It's been reported. In fact, they haven't denied it. As a matter of fact, the report is that the deputy director of operations at the presidency has confirmed that what they are doing is to take it for the INDC people. You understand? The one chairman in Ashanti region, Akro From or chairman, Kutu or chairman something, but right by the roadside, is seen mining. You understand? So if you haven't invited these people, you just invite them in very simple. Don't use the same drama you are using for Wontumi. If you haven't invited these people, and I wake up in the morning and I see you arms, military men, you know, armed to the teeth, dragging Wontumi and taking him to CID, taking him to Yoko, keeping him for hours, you're not fighting Galamsey, actually. Actually, what you're doing to Wontumi is not to fight Galamsey. It's to show Wontumi where power lies. Because if you are fighting Galamsey, Wontumi should be with you. The chairman for Upper Dencha, he should be with you. The MP for Arwin should be with you. All these people should be with you. At least, let us see that you have at least invited them and you started some investigation. I think that the NDC, I don't know which popularity contest they are in with anybody. I think that this is 2025. All of us as a country in our democracy may have committed some blunders and errors in the past with the way we use state power and force. But it is the reason why we grow. It is the reason why our democracy is maturing. And I think that in 2025, the president must call somebody to order quickly. I mean, if I've committed a crime, come for me. Invite me. I would come. Do all your investigations. You know, you could have invited Wontumi the way he went to the CID headquarters. I don't think there was any drama there. No. He went there, parked his car, went with his lawyers. They were there for hours. No issue. But this was an idea that, you know, you'll be home and people are banging on your doors and you come. And you know, funny enough, you are very sure that most of these things eventually may not even end up with either prosecution or even any sentencing. Because I may not be guilty. Wontumi may or may not be guilty. So if you do all this drama and it turns out that the guy is not guilty, you are putting pressure on you yourself. Look at what is happening with this Edubwahi and AG matter. See the way the Attorney General came. In fact, I remember very well the day and days after his press conference, the whole country, everybody thought that as for Edubwahi, he cannot even step out to even drink water. Today, the gentleman walks into the court and you see the walking and all of that. Because allegations, accusations, suspicions are completely different from adducing evidence. And anybody that understands law, and I keep saying that if you have gone to school, you at least understand law. The only difference between us and the lawyers may be the procedures. But we can read. We can read the criminal codes, we can read the constitutions, and we can understand. The only difference is that maybe the procedures. Maybe I will not be able to write an affidavit or, you know, those are things that, rate of summons, those are things that they have learned technically. But we know that proving criminal issues in court is a different ballgame. In fact, if you invite him to me, he can sit with you for 6 hours without saying a word. You can't do anything to him. If you think that engineer has stolen money, it is not up to engineer to come and tell you how you stole the money. It is up to you to go to court and prove the engineer. So you can drag Wontumi or anybody to Yoko or wherever, and he can spend hours with you without uttering a word. It will be up to you to take him to court and go and prove that whatever you're accusing him of. And at the court, he can now pull his evidence and his defense on you, and it will be up to you to prove so. So we need to be a bit careful. Because you see, I always say this, precedence becomes law. Precedence becomes law. So sometimes when we do certain things, and I remember when I was MC, I used to tell some people in government, some people, when it comes to decision making, that, you know, when you are making decisions for this country, don't put yourself into it. Don't personalize it. You know, I have a view that a lot of our laws, when you read and you know the people, you can tell. I can tell you, I have so many acts. Yes, I have so many acts of parliament that I can tell you that when you read, I tell you this person was part of it. People intend to impose their personal views, their personal sentiments in our laws even. And then decision making, policy making. There was a man, I won't mention his name, who used to do certain things in an office. He's a technical man, a chief director. And I was always telling him, Chief, this thing that you are doing, you know that you are doing it because now you are here just to protect yourself. But eventually when you leave, you would have wished that you did it differently. He didn't spend 6 months at home. He called me. Changes he would have done. Reforms he should have done.
Yeah.
You know, improvement he should have brought because he was benefiting from the chaos.
Yeah.
He didn't do those things. Now, when he has left and is at home, he looks back and he wishes that those things, he had put them in place before he left.
The benefit of hindsight.
So when you have an opportunity to do some of these things, remember that the way you treat these people, you are setting the tone to make it look like they're normal. And that eventually it could be your turn.
And that has to stop somewhere.
Today we've gotten to the point where national security couples are being dragged even in public. In the past, we never had this. I mean, some of us used to even wonder, hey, this is why they don't commit crimes. How come as for them when there's a change of government, they have, because there are protocols. Whether you like it or not, that is why you cannot just drag a president to court. The person can be a criminal, but he has privileges. Look at what happened to Trump in the US. He was almost, in fact, it wasn't he was almost, he was actually sentenced. You understand? But he has privileges. Accord him those privileges. But if you strip him of those privileges and treat him anyhow, you are also setting the precedence for same to be done to you. And that, for me, is what hurts me. As for the people messing up, anytime the action is perceived to be political, you should be rest assured that the people will mess up.
Why?
Why not? It is political. Once it is political, of all the arrests and raids you have heard, did you see anybody mess up?
You are in Team Fojo's house.
No. I mean, at the Yoko office and BNI office, and you know, in Team Fojo, for instance, it was like that because the people saw it as political. And when it is political, the people know. When it is not political, they know. You understand? In Team Fojo, it was obvious that it was political. How do you come to somebody's house with guns? Somebody that said that I suspect something has happened. How do you come to his house with guns? Did it ever make sense to you? Have you ever heard anything come out of the Team Fojo's matter? Because it didn't make sense. There was no sense in it. And that is why you see people mass up. And this was the first time. It happened during the MPP era when NDC was in power. It is happening today when MPP is in power. I can tell you that if it doesn't stop and it continues, when MPP comes to power or CPP comes, it will continue. You understand? That is why I am saying that the laws are there. So long as the people, that is why even in our courts, we have bails. Sometimes even self-cognizance bails. So long as the person is not one that you fear, would not show up when you invite him, or would run away, don't bother to put this drama in place. Allow him to report, interrogate him as... Do you know that a lot of former government officials have been reporting to Yoko and BNI? Plenty. The ones you are reading in the news are not even 2% of it. Why is there no drama around it? Because you invite them, they show up, you interrogate them, they go home. But if you decide to make a drama, there will be drama. The only way you get people mass up at Yoko is because in the full glare of the public, you went to cross with your vehicle, dragged him into your way with arms. People saw it. They took videos. You saw the videos on social media. Hey, why are they doing this, Wontumi? This man is being taken through this because of what he has done for the party. Whether you like it or not, that is how people will interpret it. Let's go and support him. Otherwise, in the future, you won't get people support. And it happened in MPP, it's happening in NDC. I think that there must be a point where reason will prevail and people would stop these things and allow the laws to work.
Engineer, on the issue institutions when some of these things happen.
Yeah, again, as citizens, we need to ask ourselves certain questions. And that's why I keep asking questions about democracy all the time. Where our politicians are quick to say, oh, democracy is expensive. But where should that expense be? In our case, we have bare-faced corruption and thievery going on in the name of democracy. And that is why we must fight. Because at the end of the day, ordinary citizens who are members of political parties are lured into thinking that they are defending a party when they're actually defending a personal interest. So all of us need to begin to sit down as individuals and say, look, over the last 30 years of this democracy, what has it really brought to us in terms of metrics of real growth in this country? Have people's health, access to health improved? Has access to education improved? And what is the quality of education? Traffic, issues like that, those are the things that matter to ordinary people on a daily basis. Access to water, electricity, have all these improved. But what has happened to the political elite in this country? They have amassed wealth consistently. And these are the things we need to be... So when ordinary people get up and say, oh, a politician has been arrested, so let's mass up, they need to begin to ask questions of themselves. what did this politician do for us? How has their governance led to improved healthcare in this country? How has it led to improved quality of education? So ordinary citizens should begin to ask questions of themselves and not simply begin to follow politicians around and dance to their tune. So for me, the massing up of people around security agencies, they must also realize that the security agencies are heavily armed and their own lives could be at stake. So why do that? Because at the end of the day, yes, the security may have come there in a way that is not palatable, but they're only going to take one man and go away. You're gathering what is it supposed to do? To prevent the security agency from arresting or what? So for me, those confrontations are needless. And citizens themselves need to begin to ask questions of themselves, whether it is worth dying for the politicians that we are chasing around.
Very well. Let me say good morning to the Honorable Fred Kwesi Agbenyo, the Member of Parliament for the good people of Guan, and bringing him into the conversation. Good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Well, I'm learning from you.
Oh, is that so?
Yes.
Anyways,
let me say good morning to my brother Miracle. Miracle, don't talk. They've not called you Miracle.
Parliament, it's talk propaganda. You know, a lot of things can change you. Now these days, you know,
life is about growth.
I'm telling you.
Let me say good morning to the spokesperson of Alhaji Baumia in the 2024 campaign and elections. Miracle, how are you doing?
I'm fine, Honorable.
Okay. Boss, pleasure meeting you.
Honorable, I'm fine.
Good morning to our Chinese viewers.
Right, so
no, they have immunity.
well, he's in Parliament too. The privileges you mentioned there.
We should have called him that privilege.
Even when you were not in Parliament, a lot of immunity.
Very well, Fred. Let's look at the issue of Chairman Wontumi now, and then of course all that is happening surrounding it. Yesterday, he was picked up by Yoko from the CID headquarters. 6 hours of interrogation. Finally, we're told that he had fallen ill and had been taken to the hospital. A person like Chairman Wontumi, should it be difficult to find or invite? And does it warrant this style of arrest as we saw yesterday?
Well, thank you very much. Let me say good morning to our Chinese viewers, and especially the good people of the Guan constituency. I've heard a very principled position on this subject long before now, that we are a growing democracy. And so as much as possible, we must do things the way those from whom we have learned democracy from are doing their things. We can achieve whatever result we want to achieve without necessarily going through what one would call a buga way. You know, we have done that, several years. It has not yielded any results. Because really, when you do those things and you create all the tension, the euphoria and everything, at the end of the day, what you are seeking to achieve, to prosecute, to retrieve from those who have stolen from the state back to the state, and you are unable to achieve that, everything that you have done amounts to nothing. And so I've held this view all these many years, that we can approach these things maybe differently. But when we get close to those who are within the security architecture, and you interact with them on this subject, they will tell you they don't do this things for nothing. When you go to the BNI place, sometimes they will invite you to come. You go and they just put you in a waiting room. And there's a camera there on you. And an officer is in another room. And they are just watching you. Your body language can give a lot of information. They are just watching you. And so sometimes I think that, why do you have to keep him there for 5 hours? They are trying to, solicit or get some information from him. Now, human beings as we are, when you put me through fear, all right, when you bring some power to bear on me, I am tempted to, because I want my freedom, to say the truth and nothing but the truth immediately. And so if you don't understand why sometimes they deploy these mechanisms, you can draw whatever conclusions you want to draw, right? Yes, Chairman Wontumi is a well-known Ghanaian, Ordinarily, this somebody you expect that just invite him, let him appear. It doesn't even need anybody to come and bail him. He should be able to bail himself and all that. But like I said, the security people will tell you, we want to get an information from him. We want to get him in a state where he will be willing and prepared to speak.
But that may not be fair to him, because if you put him under duress...
I am not necessarily suggesting that you put him under duress. And of course, when you put someone under duress and then you get an information from him, and that information is not the truth, you have been unfair to the person, right? You have not exercised any justice. So I agree to that. I'm saying that you and I, we can rationalize these things using common sense. But these institutions, we created these institutions.
Yeah.
I prefer to call them BNI. I'm struggling to call them NIB. Because anytime I say NIB, I don't know the difference between them and the bank, NIB.
Yeah.
And so, once the operation has not changed, I think, yes. The CID, we have the whole police service. But there's a unit we call the CID. And they be given special role to play.
Yeah.
The same with NIB. The same with Yoko. And all other investigative bodies that we have in this country. Yeah. And so, if in the exercise of their duties, they need to apply some of these things, to the extent that they are not going to kill anybody, to the extent that we cannot say they've infringed on anybody's fundamental human rights, we should allow them to do their work. You know, all of us are in public space. And my prayer is that I never get to this point ever in my life. Because I say to people every day, you don't live life for yourself alone. If I'm sitting on this television right now and I say something good, my children back at home are watching me.
Yeah.
My family, they are watching me. The constituents that are given the opportunity to be here, they are watching me. And so the way I conduct myself, it's not about that which makes me happy alone. It's about the other people whose interests I'm representing. And so imagine if you go through this thing, you have young kids that go to school, and they go to school and it's like everybody is watching them. Hey, your dad was just picked up last night. Your mom was just, it doesn't really even help the children in particular. It affects them greatly. Their friends will even make mockery of them. What we have done in this country, all these many years, is to try people in absentia. We draw conclusively before a court of competent jurisdiction will do so. And oftentimes, the way we run with it and the things we say, when finally it is proven that the fellow is not even guilty, the opportunity doesn't come for us to even clear his name again. And so that stigma, that pain is left there forever and ever. I am aware of children who will not even want to go to school again because their friends were teasing them. And all of us in public say, see, as you climb the political ladder, you understand why sometimes politicians do some of the things that they do. It got to a point where I have to remove my son from a particular school because he gets to school and then the teacher who teaches him, either because he doesn't like me, the teacher see on television, and so he will visit my sins on my son. Right? He will insult my son in class, you call him name because he doesn't like his father. And so the child will wake up and say, you know what, I'm not going back to that school again. Right? You even go to hospital sometimes and you mention your name, depending upon what the fellow's political biases are and the kind of treatment you are given. And that's why sometimes you see politicians, okay, then they are taking their children from the jurisdiction, they are attending hospital. It's not necessarily because they think that they cannot get better health care from here. And I say this every day, that people who are down the political ladder, sometimes they are more political than the real actors. Maybe America's sitting here. For you, we are very, very good friends, we don't even know. Maybe we even put our hands in the one where we eat.
Maybe. Why is it maybe?
Oh, it is maybe because
except since you went to parliament.
Oh, look at this man. When was the last time I saw you? When you became the director of whatever, local government and the president. I didn't set my eyes on him today. So the point I'm making is that, for me, once you enter into public office, put at the back of your mind that a day will come when you will account for your stewardship.
Right.
Whatever you do, you account for it. And that office you are occupying, it is not because you are the best. It is just an opportunity that beckons you. Just an opportunity. That's why you are there. And so you are there to serve the people. You are there to serve the country. And even all of us, we put it at the back of our minds. You see, sometimes, and again, I say this reservedly, people like Wontumi, go back and play some of his audios. Go and watch his videos. Go and watch the things he said in time past. And so when the first arrest or whatever it is took place, and some people said, oh, he was crying. I said, no, baby, man, sometimes...
So what, tables have turned, so you are showing
the states, we must all know that nobody's above the laws of this country.
Indeed.
Nobody should assume that, as for me, I am an Ajimai. Yes, at a particular point in time, you may have a political dispensation of power that will look like it's protecting you. And if you allow that to eat into your head as it is, and then you say all manner of things and do all manner of things, that day will come when that political establishment will not be available to protect you. That day will come when you are exposed, when now you are on your own. What I really think that we should discard in this country, when we have clear evidence that people are being persecuted as citizens, we must rise up and defend the right of all such persons. But when people are caught genuinely to account for the wrongs they have done, why?
They may have done.
They may have done. That's correct. The wrongs they may have done. Why don't we allow them to appear before the state institution and do so? Unless, of course, we want to say that this is state institution not function again. Then why then did we establish them? Why did we pay people to work over there? And like my senior colleague asked earlier, some of these people, you were coming the money to buy cocoa and take, I don't have. In fact, maybe your party has come to power for the past 8 years. Even once you may not get. Now they have arrested somebody. Now the fellow is hiding behind the political declaration or whatever it is. And so, you go there right now, God forbid, a strange bullet hits you. You fall into a gutter. People mop you up and something happens to you. You are going back to your house. I always tell people a story. When you go to the university or whatever it is, and people are engaging in demonstration and beyond those things, you must always remind yourself that you came from your house alone. You know your background, your house. You'll be there, be screaming and be shouting. Somebody, as soon as they eradicate them or whatever happened, their parents will fly them out of this country. You will go back to your village and go and stay in the Atakpame house with your mother and father. And so don't be consumed by crowd, activities. You must always soberly reflect. If the fellow truly has done something wrong, or the state thinks he has done something wrong, he's been invited to come and ask me, is it my responsibility? Is it my responsibility? No. So all of us should be very careful. That time of the night, it's our chairman. See, and there are a lot of people who have done evil and ill to this country, and they hide behind political parties, and they got away with it. It's not good. We don't need to encourage that culture. I am not saying that this is the first time this is happening. It has happened to NDC before. Went to opposition, people mass up here, people demonstrate here, we will not allow this to happen. As I said, if there is ample evidence that we are doing this thing to this person only to put fear in him, that one, all of us can rally around it, regardless. If I have evidence to believe that Wontumi is being persecuted for no wrong done, I don't care getting involved. I'm a Ghanaian, first and foremost, before my political lineage. But where the person, even under his own political party, some allegations were made against him, you heard it, by no other person, in some cases, by the sector minister himself. Especially his involvement in the mining in the forest, and it came to the fore. That even the president of the republic then at a point had a cause to even respond to it. As usual, exonerated him. When his minister was on the phone, was telling us that no, they've entered to the forest, they were mining without a permit. They've entered forest reserve. The president said, well, Akota money has done that. We all heard those things. And so if today you have been invited to come and account for your stewardship, to come and tell us that it will happen, why should anybody run amok? Why should people think that it's not happening? And like he rightly said, this thing we have done. See, something happened that I took a lesson from. That day I forgot where we went to. There was a program, I think, around GIJ. Then something had happened. Remember, my senior Bakokwa who was picked up one time by the police. And so, as usual, we all followed up as national executive officers and everybody to the police headquarters. I was standing there. I forgot this man's name. He has retired. He used to be the commander or the director of operation. And he commanded his guys to either rubber bullets or tear gas to disperse the crowd. What happens to you? If that bullet should hit your eye, shoot somewhere. Like, really, we are not in a military regime where you say, well, people were invited and some disappear with this. Yes, that history is there for all of us. But now we are in a democracy, right? When you are invited by any institution to appear before them, you are entitled to go there for your counsel. Your lawyers are there. It's knowledge work, it's book work, it's academic work. It's not choboy all the time. The choboy will not change anything. And so I want to admonish our brothers and sisters, our colleagues, our friends out there, that we can show solidarity, but we can do it better than sometimes the way we go about it. And let all of us, office holders and people who get opportunity to serve in public office, always remind ourselves that whatever we do today, whatever actions we take today, that day will come when we'll be invited to account for our stewardship. And when that time comes, and we ourselves, we know we have done something wrong, we should not scream and shout and call on Ghanaians to come to our aid. We should not scream and call on our party people to come to our aid. More so when all the things that we did, those people we are inviting today didn't necessarily benefit from those things. And so I can only wish, I don't wish anybody to go to jail. I don't wish anybody to go and sleep at in Sewam. And for me, I say it every day, if you go to sleep at in Sewam, and we don't get the money, maybe you are led to have looted back to the state to go and build schools in my village, to go and fix the roads in my village, to get employment opportunities for the youth, and you go and sleep at in Sewam, and we are still feeding you and spending our little money on you. What have we gained as a state? And so for me, I don't wish for anybody to go to jail, but people must remind themselves that you can't have it forever and ever. The time will come. You have to go and account. And when that time comes, nobody should scream and shout.
Sure, thank you. Engineer, final thoughts on this matter? And then we'll move
just a quick response to my Fred. You see, he made a statement where he said his children possibly were being harassed in school because maybe teachers and that's what they had to. But I again say that we make excuses for our politicians. Look, we elect them to solve problems of this country. But they have consistently divided this country into partisan things. So everybody is becoming political. So that teacher should have been challenged. The thing is to challenge it, because we make excuses. So that is why I've moved. Look, I said the free SHS, go and check. The political elite have checked out of the system. And yet they say it is for Ghanaians. In the same way, they say, they give excuses for not going to hospitals here, but they must go abroad. Look, leadership is by example. Fukushima, nuclear disaster in Japan, happened many years ago. The soil got contaminated. Only yesterday on BBC. And then the scientists said they want to use the soil to do some experiment. The citizens say, no, it is still contaminated. What did they do? The president said, look, collect that soil and come and dump it some in my house. The president is demonstrating to the citizens that it is safe for that soil to be used. But here in Ghana, our politicians will quickly check out and say, oh, no, they're harassing us. So let's go to hospital abroad. Leadership is important. We elect them to solve our problems. When there's traffic, then they say, give us sirens and let us go through the traffic. When they are supposed to solve our traffic problems. These are the issues we should be challenging our politicians on consistently. They give excuses for flying private jets. When other countries do not do that. I mean, let's get real in this country. We shouldn't give our politicians excuses. We didn't get them into office to be carrying them on our heads.
Thank you.
You see, let me react quickly to what the engineer is saying.
In a few seconds.
I can speak for myself. I am not giving an excuse for anything. I will not, out of luxury, because I've gotten so much money, when I'm sick, just go and buy a ticket and say I'm going abroad to go and take care of myself. It's a Ghanaian doctor that have taken care of me up to this age, and I have confidence in them. It's the same Ghanaian hospital we attend. We eat at the same chop bars and restaurants all over around town. I'm not giving an excuse. I just cited that as an example. You see, the politicians, how many really politicians do we have in this country? If you put all the parties together, how many are we as politicians?
0.005.
We are just to the general public. The power, this constitution says that the power of the nation is with the people. The small number of politicians only exercise that power on behalf of the people. What you all of us should be calling for is that awakening among the citizenry who have the power and seize part to the politician. If all of our citizens will rise up and stop being spectators and stop just criticizing but calling the political elites to order, all the complaints we are making, we'll face them. You understand? It's not enough to put people into political office and go and sit on the fence. And all you do is to criticize them. You need to call for accountability.
Right.
You need to call them to order.
Right.
The traffic concerns he's raising, why? It affects all of us. When I move, one of the things I don't like is that people are in traffic. Why? I got here a bit late.
Yeah.
It's not because I didn't wake up early. I was in traffic. I said, no, I'm not going to go out with a siren. I'll be in there. Sometimes it is very, very inconvenient because of the things we have to do.
Yeah.
But they learn to wake up early. You can't blame anybody for it.
Very well.
So the point I'm making is that it appears, and I've said this before, it's not because we are empowered today, I'm going to change my position on it. The Ghanaian citizenry must sit up. You understand? We must sit up. We must ask those we have given the political power.
Yeah.
And we have given our resources too, because we believe all of us cannot manage it, and so collect them on our behalf. We must call them to order.
Right.
Why? Do we have more cars in Accra than any country in Europe?
No, we don't.
But how are they managing their traffic situations? Why is it so difficult for us to do same? How come that go to the Ministry of Road and Housing and go and check on their books the amount of money we spend every year in the name of road construction, and go back to the roads and see the state of the road? Because when money is allocated for road construction, 30% to go to the work, 70% to disappear into thin air. And so, sure, the job is done, and in no time we are back here. Otherwise, how can't we fix all the community roads around town, so that all of us will not need to queue up on the main roads,
Right.
and to ease of traffic? And so me, I am in the same boat with you on we making sure that. But I'm saying that, as I said, our percentage is not even 1% of the Ghana's population.
Yeah.
Those of us who have frontally declared ourselves that we are politicians.
Exactly.
We are not even up to 1%.
Right. Thank you.
So how can the less than 1% people be so powerful that over 40 million people cannot call us order?
We are operating
Anyway,
in this country.
yeah, maybe.
Dennis, you wrap up the conversation on
I think that my senior brother, Parliament has changed a lot of things, and I'm happy.
Positively?
I mean, I recall. Yeah, positively. I recall.
He
and
I was a black man.
you know, by now.
Are you sending him an invitation to go back to that?
By now, I mean, no. I'm just, commending him.
Right.
Because, like he rightly told you about his experience at the CID headquarters, by now he'll be there. He'll be leading, and you hear him everywhere, and advocating, asking people to move, and all of that. I'm happy he's asking for a shift, even with how people mobilize and all of that. But he left the other side, which is our political class and the security agencies should also not weaponize the law.
Right.
As for the law, you can use it for so many things. You can weaponize it to destroy people, even though it is the law. So, in as much as you don't want people to mobilize and go there, would you also want to do these things in a more civilized, proper way, like the CI did it, and there was no mobilization? I think that's the side he left. I mean, I think it's political. If it's not political, why isn't there a Win MP being investigated? If it's not political, why isn't the Upper Dentra East NDC MP being investigated? Chairman. I mean, these are active and burning currents, very recent, under your government, and they are working freely. So if you leave all these people, the Chairman Kuntu or Chairman Kuti and Akro from also, if you leave all these people and you go after Chairman Wontumi, I'm sorry, it is political. And don't forget that the MPP is not just a symbol that people go and vote for. It is an organization that has millions of people holding ID cards. And these people don't just show up because they got money. They show up because a member of their organization is perceived to be persecuted. So we shouldn't let this thing, we shouldn't lose sight of it. And I can tell you, if we don't take money, so they may have more people mobilizing. The longer he stays there. Come on, you investigate him, talk to him, get anything you want, process him for court. You understand? You don't put somebody in a room and torture him to speak because you want to solicit information.
Was he being tortured?
No. When I say torture is not, yes. If you put me in a room with light on, and I sit idle for long and you're watching me on camera.
Even America. I'm sorry I interjected. You see, I'm sorry, but let me say something. We just have an interaction. When it comes to these subjects, I am trying very hard to take the partisan thing out of it and just approach it as a Ghanaian. But when you do what Miracle is doing now, then you invite me.
Okay, so hold on to your position. What you did was to say that you don't think it's political. I am telling you why, and
that's
I'm giving
you. You are drawing
yes, and I'm no. That's he actually said it. He said that he doesn't think it's political, but I am giving you pointers,
right.
And these pointers
that suggest or
fall to the pointers. Yes, and I've told you that why Chairman Wontumi. I'm not saying he may not have committed a crime, but everybody that steals must be arrested. You understand?
So we are beginning with Wontumi. We'll get to where you want.
But you have a very current one. You're going to the.
So we should leave the old one. We should leave the old one.
I beg you.
I don't want to.
I think you are now overdoing it. I think you are not overdoing it. I am saying that the Awin chiefs wrote to the president. They wrote to the president. Okay, you haven't done anything about it.
I think the speaker calls an investigation.
Yeah, investigation is going on.
From where? Where is the investigation? Parliament doesn't investigate Galamsey. Parliament doesn't investigate Galamsey.
Not Parliament. Oh, I'll help you.
Parliament doesn't investigate Galamsey. You understand? The NDC chairman that strangled the security, the soldier man, the upper there, he's there, he's working. As we speak, National Security has taken over a mining site and are mining. Okay, themselves, they switch on the machine and are mining. You see, me, I keep saying it. The reason I'm very careful when I'm discussing these things is that tables 10. I don't think that vindictive politics is the way to go. I am telling you, tables do 10. You see where we've gotten to? Today, look at the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana lamenting, almost on her knees, helpless. That is how far we are going. So we have to be careful. That's all I am saying. And you know why some NDC people are happy with the Chief Justice situation? They say, oh, it was done to the Electoral Commissioner. So you see the way it's growing.
The comparisons and the
so the next time it will not be the Chief Justice, it may be the President. So I am only saying that yes, Chairman Wontumi and any other person is not any extraordinary human beings. But there are reasons why there are privileges and there are courtesies. You may, if maybe you come and do this to Anakofi Mensah, you may not have people mass up. But logic should tell you that if you do it to Honorable Fedagbenyo, you may have people of Guan who live in Accra coming in solidarity. So is that the best way to handle it? That is all I am saying. That is all.
Honorable, I'll give you an opportunity.
Oh, after he has come in and he has come in. Don't forget, I gave him an opportunity after he has
come in. We've been here talking plenty before.
Oh, but that is...
in just a minute.
Anyway, Honorable MP.
Yes.
I'm in power. Privileges. I agree. I agree.
You see, as I said, I am trying to stay away from, politicize this particular issue. You rightly said, not too long, 5 months ago, we were in opposition. They were in power. I don't believe NDC will stay in power forever and ever. And so when I hold a view that something is wrong, people may disagree with me, but that is my view, and I should be able to express that view freely. And that's what I've tried to do this morning. It is not because I don't have examples to give about the things that happened to NDC people when they were in office.
I agree. I've even cited them. I agree.
It's not because I don't have examples to give. It's not because I don't know what some people from our party went through. Okay?
I agree.
The point my brother is making about, or the names he's just mentioned about some people and NDC, I can tell you for a fact that everybody in NDC who have been cited in this Galamsey issue is being investigated.
It's not true. That is false.
Honorable,
as for that one is false. And you know it.
Oh no, but
when I was speaking, he interjected.
I'm not saying don't interject me.
Okay,
you say that
you spare me this.
When you have not given the opportunity to
okay, you to spare me. You to spare me the way I spare you.
Okay, go ahead and talk.
So I can tell you for a fact, and Honorable can never give us any evidence to that. And I'm telling you, Apadencha East Chairman has not and is not under any investigation.
Awin
MP has not and is not under any investigation. The chairman Kutu or Akropo is not, and they are not. That is a fact.
So
I checked this 2 days ago.
Why?
Unless it was done yesterday.
Why that miracle? You see, when they are conducting investigation, to the extent that the person was not picked up in court in a Rambo style that we are talking about, how will you know whether they are investigating him or not? You just sat on this platform a while ago and said that several people are appearing before Yoko and other investigating bodies in this country and that nobody hears about. I don't know all say the same thing. So how will you sit here And
I know that. You should mention which organization. Mention which security agency is investigating.
You're going to help us with the body investigation.
But the man will not allow me.
I'm sorry, Honorable.
The man will not allow me.
Help us with that information.
I am saying that what the Speaker said in Parliament is that any member of Parliament who is found to be doing these Galamsey activities will not be spared. He has set up a committee that if you hear anything about any MP involved in these things, let us know. We'll do our own internal investigations and we'll make sure it's sanctioned. While the police and other state institutions that have the mandate to make sure these people are prosecuted
the chief
to the point.
There's no small.
Let me just land.
There's no small inside.
Let me land.
And please do so. I need to
the chiefs of our wing have written
yeah.
to the president about an issue. These persons involved have been invited and their statements have been taken. When somebody made an allegation against somebody, the best thing you do is to invite the person, take their statement. When you finish, you go in there and do your own investigation. When you have established a prima facie, whatever it is, then now you can proceed and do as supposed to do. And so the fact that somebody has been invited, either granted a bail, his statement taken, you can't then come.
These ones have not been invited and granted a bail.
Yes.
That's the point.
Do you want me to start mentioning to you?
I'm telling you for a fact. I'm telling you for a fact that these people forget about that one.
When Wontumi,
I'm telling you that these people have not been invited and their statements taken.
Why? You see, I said that he's drawing me deliberately to that, and I don't want to go.
But you are there. You are.
We were in this country. I said I want to. Let me just last minute before you go.
Let me take a break.
Before you go.
These people have not been invited. That is the one we are talking about. The fact.
Please.
They have not been invited.
Gentlemen, thank you. This is the news review segment on Breakfast Daily. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this break. Thank you for staying with us. This is Breakfast Daily here on ChannelOne Television. We're having the news review segment. We're moving on to our next subject, which happens to do with the government seeking to introduce some legal framework for removing Supreme Court justices. This was announced by the leader in Parliament, the majority leader, the Honorable Mahama Ayariga. I'll read from ChannelOneNews.com briefly a few paragraphs, and then we can get into a conversation on it. Story says, government to introduce clear legal framework for removing Supreme Court justices, and is attributed to Mahama Ayariga. It reads, Majority Leader Mahama Ayariga says the government is set to introduce a comprehensive legal framework to regulate the removal of justices of Ghana's superior courts, including the Chief Justice. His announcement comes as suspended Chief Justice Gertrude Araba Isaba Tokonu faces possible removal from office over allegations of misconduct, an episode that has reignited debate over ambiguities in the constitutional process for removing top judicial officers. Now, addressing Parliament on Tuesday, May 27, during the House's first sitting after recess, Ayariga outlined the Mahama administration's legislative agenda with a strong focus on judicial reforms. He said, the government is committed to upholding judicial independence while ensuring that mechanisms exist to hold judges accountable through a fair and transparent process. According to the majority leader, the proposed reforms will spell out detailed procedures for the removal of Supreme Court and other Superior Court justices, seeking to eliminate the legal uncertainty that has surrounded recent high-profile cases. I'll end it here and come to you, engineer, on this. There's a process which may subsequently lead to the removal of the Chief Justice, who is currently on a suspension. Within that same period, there's been nomination of 7 judges for consideration to the Supreme Court. And now we're being told by the majority leader in Parliament that a legal framework is coming to regulate or to spell out clear procedures for the removal of justices of the Supreme Court and Superior Courts. Isn't this too much within the same period, considering that the judiciary is also an independent arm of government on its own?
Yeah, I mean, it creates a lot of anxiety because clearly while the NDC was in opposition, they said, look, we need to ensure that we get our people into the judiciary. And that for me was a bad statement in itself. And now that they are in power, it looks like they are doing that. One, as a country with the kind of population of 30-something million, do we need so many Supreme Court justices? Because it was one of the allegations against the Chief Justice herself that she was seeking to get more
at what
justices
time she
appointed.
said there was a backlog and that she needed more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we, as a country, when we are in opposition, we say one thing. When we get into power, we do the other. But for me, there's nothing wrong with improving regulation, because as a country, we are in continuous improvement.
Yeah.
And that is why there's been an attempt to review the Constitution, and all legal frames can be reviewed at all times as we go on. But within the circumstances, it suddenly looks like, there's something wrong. Let's appoint more justices, let's review the law on removal of chief justice. So people are asking, so is there something wrong with the current system? Yeah, there may be deficiencies with the current system. But it doesn't also mean that there's anything wrong. They just said, let's make it clearer. For me, that is something we need to look at. So there's nothing wrong with that process in itself. But we are creating a situation where things are becoming a bit untenable in this country. Do we need so many Supreme Court judges? Quite haven't we capped it? All these years, we've talked about capping the number of Supreme Court judges.
But the Constitution does not make provisions for capping.
Yeah, but
it gives you a minimum of 9, but does not put the threshold on
Exactly.
it.
But you see, that is where, again, I say that our politicians keep using a lot of excuses. Why did the framers say a minimum of 9? They realize that, yes, there may be a need to increase, but there's nothing that this Constitution will prevent a good president from doing what is right. You see, so we make us go, but the Constitution doesn't constrain us, so we can appoint more. But is it for good? Or it is simply to pack the courts?
Okay.
So,
parochial interest.
Exactly, for parochial interest. And that is why I say that we need to continuously examine the thoughts of our political leaders. That, look, is it for parochial interest? And the cost of administering this country continues to rise. And what is the benefit to the people? What has been the improvement in justice delivery over the last few years? Let's ask ourselves that. With all the increases in the number of justices, what has been the quality and the speed of justice delivery in this country? These are the questions we need to ask. So when politicians come and say, we need to appoint more, we need to ask them those questions. What has been the increase from the 9 initially to all the numbers we have now? What has been the speed and the quality of justice delivery? These are the metrics we need to question them about. But nobody asks. And then they say, oh, yeah, but we need more. Because for every chief justice that is appointed, the amount of money we as taxpayers need to expend on them increases. When we increase the number of MPs, we lose money. When we create more regional, we lose money. And these are the things that concern all of us. But they are not concerned with those things. They want to create more so that when they get into power, it's the distribution of the spoils of war. Let's appoint our people here so that everybody will get a little to eat. For me, these are the things we should be questioning constantly about politicians and all the things that they are doing. So, yes, we need continuous improvement. We need to review our laws. We need to ensure that things are done better. But there's nothing wrong with the trial that is going on of the Chief Justice. She is crying foul. The question is, when she was there and when the MPs had an issue, when the laws were supposed to be passed, how speedily did she try those issues? Was that fair to the parliament? I mean, let's call a spade a spade. When people had justice, clear issues, SAL, how long did she take her as an administrator to ensure that the people of SAL had justice? And yet, when a few weeks, when the crisis happened in Parliament, where they said somebody had filed to be as an independent candidate, what was her utterance in court? That the people will have representation. When the people of SAL hadn't had representation for 4 years, how speedily did she expedite that court issue? So let's call a spade a spade. I don't see anything wrong with the trial going on, and I don't think that her crying foul should make anybody think that there's anything wrong with the process. Let the process go through and let the citizens decide. It's also important that people must realize that MPs and the presidents are elected by the people. The justices are not elected by the people. So their process of removal and appointments cannot be the same as those of the president and those elected officers.
Dennis, your thoughts on this? The government wants to bring in regulation to regulate the removal of Superior Court justices if need be.
I think it's long overdue. And I sincerely think that the Parliament of Ghana should actually begin to do some of these things, not just when they come up. Because see, when you look at our constitution is still waiting for a lot of enabling acts, which are still not done. Plenty. So sometimes the issue will come up and we make it look like the constitution is faulty. But that is not the case. A lot of things in our constitution is waiting for enabling acts and legislative instruments, which is like line idle. I sincerely think that it's time Parliament begins to have maybe a committee or a unit to take some of these things. You pick a chapter and see what enabling acts are required and what is pending, and then you do it. But let's also be fair. Sometimes issues come up, and that also make it important for certain legislations and things to come to play. And that's why today we are discussing. I think Mama Yaruga is right. It should be done. Except that it also brings to question, or it brings to justification some of the chaos around the removal of this CJ. And so it tells me that none of the parties at this point are wrong. The CJ is not wrong. Because really, it is established that there is no clear path to doing this. And then the committees or the president, they are all not wrong because there really isn't a clear path.
In 2020, actually, Justice Doche, in the case of the Republic versus the CJ and Attorney General, sounded this alarm bell.
Exactly.
The absence of clear procedures for
and I think Right Honorable Michael Koyi also made a statement recently, comment to that effect that this thing was there a long time, and some of them have been raising it and all of that. But I mean, I think it should be done, except that I'm tired discussing this CJ matter because, like I have said, the NDC already premeditated. The president already said that, listen, when we come, we need to clean up the judiciary, and we cannot do it with the same Chief Justice. He said it. And then he said that the NDC lawyers should be ready to be elevated to the bench. He's on TV. He said it on TV, that they should all be ready to be elevated to the bench, and he's used the keyword to go and balance it out, because at the moment, the judiciary is made up of a lot of partisan judges. He said it on TV, and that they should be ready to go and balance it out. Then you come to office, a few days, barely 100 days, some fictitious petitions are raising some, absurd issues like traveling with your husband and daughter and paying them allowances, sanctioning staff of judiciary. I think you are incompetent because of the way you handled the issue that came to you from Parliament and all of that. It's quite funny. Some other petitioners said that you shouted at me and had a fight with me in court and all of that. But they are being looked at. I mean, these are things the committee will look at the merit. Then you see the lawyers. The lawyers of the petitioners are all NDC top guns, leading the force.
But Mr. Chachuchi. They are available for
but I am making a point too. You see these things. What is it?
They are available for
But it doesn't change the fact I'm stating, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Exactly. So let me state the facts. Yeah. Go for that. Yes. So there's nothing wrong. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So let me state the facts. You understand? Let me state the facts. So the fact is there.
Yeah.
Then the president appoints his own committee. The way they are, and the justice system. Sometimes it's a bit funny because honestly speaking, you hear somebody say, he cannot be a beneficiary even though he's acting CJ. But for Christ's sake, it is there. You are there. In fact, the acting CJ can choose to delay the process so that he continues to act. So these are things that we can't rule out. You understand? These are things that we can't rule out. I mean, and then of course, because there are no clear path, the president will have to do what it is that he has to do. So Mama Yaruga is ready.
That's mandated by the Constitution.
Yeah, for now, with that big gap and vacuum. But I think that in doing this, it brings me back to the issue I made earlier, and engineer made it. You see, he made a point about the CJ and how swift he was with certain issues. Because the CJ basically is now complaining about a system that she herself was head of. You understand? And that is why I continue to insist that. Charlie, now when you find yourself in a situation like the NDC find themselves today, manage it with care. Like manage it with care. Because tables will turn.
Definitely.
I'm even more worried about the other justices, honestly. And I read Justice Mensah Bonsu, her one paragraph, and I found it very profound. Like, if we are treating the Chief Justice, because the woman still remains our Chief Justice.
Yeah.
If we are treating the Chief Justice of the Republic in this manner, then all of you justices, you are in trouble.
Yeah.
And it's not something you should be happy about.
At all.
Because if the Chief Justice is even being handled in this manner, then you can imagine what could happen to you. And the issue the Chief Justice is raising, I think that let's give people some courtesies. You understand? Why are you not allowing the Chief Justice to at least come to the committee sitting with one or two people? You give her a quota. Why are you allowing the others to come in with other people? Why are you seizing the Chief Justice of the Republic's phone?
Is it not to protect it?
And others,
the sensitivity of the
and others have it.
The Constitution
no,
says.
and others have it. And others have it. You understand? I mean, that's the point too. Others have it. Like when we are entering this place and say everybody should leave their phone.
Yeah.
And we all leave it. Me, I won't complain. But if I come and I see Honorable Federal with his phone, no, me, I'll ask questions.
Yeah, normally ask that to leave, but he will bring his.
You understand? No, you understand. So I think that the sum of all of these things is for everybody, every actor,
right,
including even the president, to just remember that as we sit now, the president himself, he's left with 1,934 or 35 days.
But why are you calculating?
Why not? Why not? Why not?
Dennis.
Everybody have their priorities. This is like, you understand?
Opposition. You have enough time on your
yes,
hands.
I can count. Yeah, every morning. You know, he has barely 1,000. That's number.
Yes, less than 2,000.
So you are leaving home. Like every day as the day is breaking, like you are leaving office. You understand? Yeah. And you must be sure that you are not giving those who come after you room. See, it can be your own party.
Yeah.
But they can handle you in a way that they will tell you is the law.
Yeah.
And they will tell that is how it was done in the past. It can even be your own party. See, your own party can come. You are Minister of Finance today. Your own party will come to power, and the way you'll be handled. And we've seen it before.
And that's what's actually happening.
We've seen it. We've seen it before. Yes, we've seen it before. So I still insist that when you have an opportunity to lead this country, and you have an opportunity to effect reforms, please effect reforms that is universal to everybody and benefits everybody. But don't use it to protect yourself because you may be at the other side of it.
Thank you.
And the NDC should take note of it. The way they are treating. You know, the last time I made a point about the judiciary, and I said that if the NDC, and I want to repeat it, if the NDC proceeds to remove the Chief Justice in the manner in which they are removing her, Nana, the next government, whether it's NDC or MPP, has been given a leeway and a path to also go after. Because this is the first time we are seeing this.
Hopefully we see reforms.
But even if you see reforms, even if
is also sitting.
Every law has a leeway. There is no law that can be. But they have found a way.
Thank you, Dennis. Honorable.
You see, sometimes it's very funny when you are invited to have this type of conversation. And I hear my brothers from MPP take the kind of stance they take, this moral high ground. It makes it very difficult for those of us who have resolved to be very objective to issues. You understand? Because your history does not support the claims you are making. If there's anything that you call we are enhancing today, it's where you left off that we are building on. But suddenly you have forgotten the precedent you set. Suddenly you think somebody is doing something wrong. See, in every society where the ordinary people are protected, where things are done well, is that society where the judiciary is impartial and the judiciary is serving the citizenry and not necessarily the political elite. When you go to America and the rest, the law will always protect the ordinary person against the force and the power of the state. Because there's no way any individual can fight the state.
Yeah, true.
And so the law is there to protect the vulnerable. But in this our country, I tell you, the only time a rich man or a politically exposed person will go to court is because there are political manipulations.
Right.
I'm telling you. And I reference Professor Raymond Atuguba. When he appeared before the justice of the Supreme Court at Jimpa, he presented a paper and he looked them in the face, told them in clear words that the cases that appear before the Supreme Court justices that are political, the rulings and the determinations that are made by the justice, oftentimes dependent on the administration that places them there. He said that in plain words. You can go and check. The day he made that statement, the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana was sitting there. All of them were there. You see, again, we are building a nation. Why? If the Constitution makes provision for the impeachment of the president, who is a man elected by the people, he, through other consultation processes, appoints the Chief Justice or nominates the Chief Justice and Parliament that approve her.
Yeah.
Are we saying that because you have become a Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana, you are untouchable? Nobody should get close to you? And you think that by not touching them, we are protecting the sanctity of the judiciary? All the research that was done by civil society organizations, what is the perception of the majority of Ghanaians about our judicial system? Why? We can criticize the executive, we can criticize the president, we can say whatever we want to say about him, we can say whatever we want to say about the legislature. Then we use that kakabotobi we call contempt. That kakabotobi, hey, contempt, to be careful. Why? Why? If we live in this country and somebody goes to court over an issue and the docket can either disappear or for 2, 3 years, 4 years, they've never sat on the case, and another person comes to court with the same issue, and within the same day, a determination has been made, knowing our judicial system in this country, are we zombies that we don't know what is going on? One day, I was having a conversation with a former police, very senior officer. Then he was lamenting about the ordeal he went through when he was traveling from his village to Accra in the hands of policemen. And I shook my head and I laughed. As I said, this is what we go through every day. When you were in uniform, you didn't know, you didn't see, you didn't experience it. But this is what we go through every day. I was the Chief Justice, Kim. Kim, I was saying she's crying. Chief Justice, she's crying. This is what Ghanaians go through every day. Sometimes you go to court, and the way some of the judges even talk to people, talk to even lawyers in court.
Terrible.
You sit there and it's like, why this guy thinks he's a god suddenly or what? I'm telling you, the way some of the judges even talk to counsels.
Terrible.
Let your phone ring in a courtroom. Be talking and be making noise. He can cite you for contempt. Within a stroke of a pen, he can determine you not sleep on your bed.
Terrible.
And that is the power we have given to our judges and justices. The power that ordinary people have given to them. And so we all expect them to live above board.
Right.
There are things maybe I can do, maybe even in my current state now, I cannot even do. But them, we hold them to very high standards. Today, Chief Justice is crying. You see, when my brother talks and say what the NDC is doing to the Chief Justice, before you left office, a private Ghanaian petitioned President Kufuor, am I lying?
Yeah.
About this same Chief Justice. This is a president who no long ago told us that he is just a conveyor belt. Have you forgotten that expression?
Yeah.
That per the Constitution, when he receives a petition, he conveys to what? The Council of State. Once the Council of State determines a prima facie, a committee is set up.
Right.
Is that not what the president told us?
And that's what the Constitution says.
Is that what the Constitution says?
Yeah.
And so how come that when that petition was presented to him, he found his way in a dustbin? Well, we know in this country, when the petition was presented to the president then, and there was no a date, and I think there was no signature, the authors of the petition were invited and quote, do it well, let it meet the requirement. We have forgotten so soon. Miracle. Are you doing a miracle?
I'm encouraging you to continue. Do it. Do more.
Hold it. Do more. Unfortunately, let me just learn. So I'm
encouraging you to do it.
I am saying that
do more.
Long before now, some of us have called on the judiciary to do self-introspection.
Okay.
Stop gagging Ghanaians. Soberly reflect. Are you sure you are delivering what you can call justice in this country? And as somebody to who is Kenya, unless there's political undertone, object me from to Ghana. Because you can buy your way through.
Very well.
If you are a political man, you are powerful, master, no judge will do anything to you.
Very well. Thank you,
And so for me, if you think that it's so for the first time I made Chief Justice, why? For the first time we saw a letter commissioner removed.
And that's the justification.
So what are you saying?
So next time it's the honorable MP for Gwan.
It doesn't matter.
It does.
Thank you, gentlemen.
It does.
Look at the realizing the issues that were raised. Why? If the allegations that were made in the petition that they themselves are, I don't know where they got it from, it's need to go by. Why should
it doesn't take the president to do.
Why should
to deal with administrative issues in the judiciary? It doesn't take the president to do it.
The people Ghanaians voted for is the president.
It's a process in law.
Right. Thank you so much. I received a couple of messages. We're unable to read them, but thank you so much for sending them in. The show is interactive. Thank you, gentlemen. Fred Agbenyo, Dennis Miracles, Abuaje, Michael Kosidede. This has been the news review segment here on Breakfast Daily. Stay with us. The show continues.